Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Where we had left off, we had just picked up our Ascent lander from Paul, and we're going to be heading over to Bob. Sorry. Been talking a lot today, and my throat is a little hoarse. So, let's get out of Paul, because Paul is goofy and terrible. Alright. And again, we have, as sort of a recap, the Talos X that we're using here has an absolutely ridiculous amount of Delta V. We're still not even fully done with the nuclear stage. We've still got a few drops of gas left in there, and the ion engines, of course, have absolutely inappropriate amounts of Delta V. There we go. And something I'm going to do, I'm going to incline a bit. I think this is the right one. Nope. Because there's only two choices. It's like plugging in a USB port. You know, there's only two choices, and you get it wrong 99% of the time. It is totally like that for me with those stupid ascending and descending nodes there. Or indicators. And this is, it was actually a little bit of a, oh, okay. So we're done with our nuclear engine. We're actually going to stage into the ion stuff. So this is going to be a good validation to make sure that we are draining from the correct tanks first. Now, these ion burns are going to take quite a while. And so you can see our electric charge draining there. The electric charge is far more of a limiter on some of these burns than anything else is. Alright, good. It looks like we are correctly draining from the bottom before the top. So our asparagus, our ridiculous overkill asparagus staging on these ion engines worked out okay. Alright, so now let's think about bringing our orbit down. And again, it's just the visual effects. And again, the specific impulse, you know, on the ion engines is incredibly high, but their thrust, even in a cluster like this, is very low. So, like, when it comes time for the return, like, you know, going back to Kerbal and stuff, I mean, that burn could be over half an hour, which is something I will clip. I think, off the top of my head, I think I used, because it's been a couple of days, I think I used ion engines on my way back from Dress. So that gives you an idea of the, you know, the length of some of those burns. Alright, that's not bad for 120 delta V. I can work that into a rendezvous. I'll fix it out there at the periapsis. And see, look at that. It's a full minute just to burn like 100 delta V. Okay. For 1 meter per second of delta V, we have gotten ourselves an intercept. So that worked out. That worked out very conveniently. And we'll pick up our last crew member, and then head back to Kerbal. And incidentally, while I'm thinking of it, I just want to take a quick look at something here. All right, good. We're still in a place where we haven't gone too far past the ascending node, so the return trip won't be too bad. And by the time I get back, we'll be in a position almost to launch for Jewel to get to the descending node and do a rendezvous over there. Because the next step is almost certainly going to be Tilo and Laythe. Okay. Now, the only catch with the ion engines for an intercept like this, I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem with this, but, like, the reason why I don't use ion engines for larger stuff, in addition to the fact that, you know, the burns would be an hour long, you need an enormous amount of time in your flyby in order to decelerate enough and bleed enough delta V in order to establish an orbit. And if you don't, like, if you have an intercept going into, like, Moho or something, or Elu, that has a very small sphere of influence, and you're not coming in at, like, just the right kind of an angle, it can be a serious problem, and you can miss your intercept just because you can't slow down quickly enough, and you fly out the other end of the sphere of influence, you know, in like 100 delta V short of circularizing. That absolutely does happen, unfortunately. Alright, so we'll slow this down. Yeah, like, see, even here, we've got an hour, well, we had, you know, like, maybe an hour and 20 minutes before we started our deceleration burn. Like, if this was a higher gravity moon, and we had come in like this, if we didn't have, you know, a huge cluster of 8 of these, or if we had a heavier payload up here, we might not have the thrust-to-weight ratio to slow down in time. Or at best, we might not have the thrust-to-weight ratio to preserve enough of our delta V. I'm just recharging the batteries there. To preserve enough of our delta V to get into an orbit that, that works for whatever we're trying to do. Like here, it doesn't matter because the gravity is so low, we can just fix it. If we run into some issue, it literally does not matter at all. We still have over 15,000 delta V, and it's going to take at most like 200, maybe, to fix and intercept with our lander and stuff. I mean, absolutely no concerns. Speaking of which, we'll switch to our BOP lander. Once our loading screen does its magic. All right, there we go. Oh, we didn't get rid of our core. Beep. And I'll rename this junk, so it's not cluttering up. And we reset our mission timer. All right. So now we're going to be landing on a little bit of an interesting thing. We're going to have to time warp a little bit for it to come around into the light. Yeah, that's looking close enough. And with oh, this is the one where I forgot extra batteries. Yeah, minor detail. Electricity might be an issue here, but this is an instance where, the gravity is so low, I can literally do like these suicide burns and stuff. And it's totally fine. So I'm just gonna get myself into a free fall, burn off some of this directional energy, and let me have a look and see where our Easter egg is. Okay, so we're almost coming directly at it, so it's gonna be just a little bit in this direction. Well, let's get a bit lower. Let's see how low we can go with the time warp. Oh, that's letting us get down farther than I expected. I'll take it. All right, we are close enough where the nuclear engine isn't doing a whole lot for us. And I think what we're going for is sort of over in this general area. But I haven't been down here in a long time. Oh. Oh no. Oh no, I hit the wrong button. Okay. Whoops. Um, I guess I'm just gonna try and deal with it. Whoops. Oh man. Yeah, I think that's it right there. So that was an unfortunate oops. But luckily, the gravity here is so minuscule. This can probably still get me the intercept I need. That was a big oops. I can't believe I did that. I was trying to do Alt. Because you you hold Alt and you use the caret keys on your keyboard to control the physics warp. That's what I was trying to do. And suffice to say, didn't quite work out the way I wanted. But I should be able to land on the engine. I'm going to F5 for say. Oh, it's not going to let me. Yeah, see if I do my descent really gentle. Oh. Oh, made it. Okay. All right, let me do some of this. There's parts still flying by. Oh, I was worried about that. That's all right. I should have enough torque in the command pod to get back upright. But for now, let's go meet the Kraken. Yeah, this terrible monster has caused so many problems for so many players. Let's call this... Oh, something just occurred to me that could be an issue. I hope that our command pod didn't fall over covering the hatch. Nope, good. Okay. If that had rolled over the other way, that might have been a problem. Trying to use the RCS pack to like flip this thing back over. There we go. No problem. Alright, so I'm just gonna try and get myself into some kind of an orbit. Because I did lose, I mean, I've still got a fair amount of Delta V, but I did lose quite a bit of my Delta V with that hotkey mistake. Man, I feel stupid for that. Alright, let's warp out there now that we're high enough to actually use time warp instead of physics warp. And I'm literally just going to be looking to circularize and take an inventory of my Delta V. Alright, so... And I'm literally here, I'm just fixing my inclination to something closer to an equatorial orbit, so that the so that the rendezvous will be a little easier. That was a big oops, dropping my landing legs and stuff. That was a significant oops. Let me tell you how glad I am that I didn't do something like that, like with the Tilo lander. That would be a problem. Oh, and of course it's going the wrong way. Alright, what does my Delta V look like over there? How did I not notice that? Man, I'm losing it. I need to take a break. I've been at KSP for a little while. All right. Oh. Well, I guess my orbit's not quite as equatorial as I thought. That's fine. I'm just going to reverse direction. No big deal. Yeah, there we go. There, now we're orbiting a little more correctly. And again, going to destinations like Bop here, you can be really sloppy with some of your maneuvers, and it just doesn't matter because the gravity is so low. Like, you'd have to try to run out of Delta V here. Compare that to, like, Ike or something, where, it can actually be a thing. All right. And we'll repeat that process again over here. Just fixing our inclination to match the lander. And just like a USB plug, I get it wrong 99% of the time. All right. So let's look at what we got going on here. I can wait a couple of orbits for the rendezvous to be a little simpler. No problem. You know, with situations like this, it'll take less time to just wait for a good rendezvous like we got coming up right over here, or like it said we had. Maybe that's the next orbit. It'll take less time to wait for a rendezvous like this than it will to play around, going back and forth, you know, with all these weird maneuver nodes and stuff to really plot a more accurate intercept. And that's really a reason for why I do a lot of the things in KSP, the way that I do them, is, you know, it's not always the best way, but it's very often simply the quickest way. And, you know, there's value in that. Come on. All right, so now I'm just going to cancel out our relative velocity. Or at least most of it. That looks like it should be relatively close. Yeah, 500 meters, not bad. With 0.2 meters per second relative velocity. Okay, here goes our leap of faith. This is our captured asteroid, where we found our dead space Kraken. Hopefully, it was the only space Kraken out here. Alright, now I gotta be careful I don't bump any of those solar panels. I don't have an engineer on this mission. And those solar panels are a little fragile. Alright, not bad. Alright, let's get the hell out of Dodge. Alright, so now we're going home. And yeah, look at how long this burn is. Ugh. I'm going to speed this up a little bit for you. Alright, so we're out of Joule. And I wasn't as close to a good position as I had hoped. So I just want to take a quick check and see if maybe I'm going to get lucky and have... Okay. That's not bad. I can fix that in situ. And as you can see, this is going to be a pretty lengthy burn. So I am going to clip, and I will pick up in a few minutes after I get through with getting this burn and stuff all adjusted and fixed. Alright, so we have an intersect with Kerbal, and it took a while to get this. I actually need to check. Okay, we're still doing... We got ridiculous amounts of fuel left in all of our tanks. Yeah, during the clip, that was like almost 40 minutes waiting on time warps to get out here, doing burn, charge electricity, burn, charge electricity, over and over again. But we've got ourselves an intercept with Kerbal. And when we get there, and I'm going to speed this up a bit, but when we get there, we're going to have an extended deceleration burn. And again, that's due to the low thrust of our engines. Our thrust to weight ratio is not good. But when we get there, I'm actually going to dump the asparagus stage. And the reason is just that, we don't need any of that extra delta V. And now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have done that even before this previous burn. Because we don't really need that fuel in the extra stage, and it's like an extra 1.5 tons of weight. So by dumping that, we're going to improve our thrust-to-weight ratio quite a bit. And that'll make our deceleration burn a lot shorter. So with that said, I'm going to shut up for a minute, and we're going to fast-forward this. Okay, so we're just about back to Kerbin. And as you can see, we're coming in at a weird, like, inclined sort of an intercept, but honestly, that's not really going to matter. All we've got to do is decelerate. Now, you're going to see here, I kind of alluded to this earlier. All right, this isn't so bad. We've got a whole day. But if we were coming in at a high enough velocity and on a weird enough angle, we'd have some serious trouble doing this 3,000 meter per second deceleration burn. And this is another thing that's going to take quite a while of... Oh, you know what? That'll save some weight. But this is another thing that's going to take quite a while of charge the batteries, burn, charge the batteries, burn, charge the batteries, burn. So I'm going to clip again. This might take like half an hour or so. So I'll see you in a minute. All right, it's taken a while, but we are finally decelerated a bit. And again, we're in this weird polar orbit, but that's fine. It's been, a good solid 20 minutes of burn, charge, burn, charge, burn, charge. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get our orbit a bit lower, or our trajectory a bit lower, our periapsis. And let me just... Not going to risk it. And I'm going to do a burn down here so that our re-entry isn't coming in at 4,000 meters per second or something ridiculous like that. Now from here, it's not as bad. The hard part's done. Or at least the really time-consuming, tedious stuff is basically over. And still... plenty of Delta V. Plenty of xenon left in the tanks. So, it kind of goes to show how versatile of a design this ends up being. I will definitely be reusing this for, later missions. Especially out to, Elu and Moho. Oh, what's that? Are we intersecting the moon? Doesn't really give us much. There is a chance that might have been worth it to lower our trajectory, do a little mooner gravity assist there, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Let me just, there we go. Yeah, and in case you're curious, I didn't lose all my satellites. I'm just hiding them from the view, just to sort of clean up our orbital screen here. So we're trying to lower our periapsis down to about 30,000 meters. Same as always. Hello, Kerbin. We have been gone for 15 years. Okay. That was quite a trip. For our three Kerbal knots here, going out to the moons of Jewel, finally returning home. Alright, I'm going to Kraken insurance. Even though we have seen the dead Kraken with our own eyes. That was an expensive phase we just jettisoned. Or expensive stage we just jettisoned. What's going on there? All those funds. It's fine though. We're going to get a significant amount of income when we land this thing. For all the world first stuff it's going to give us, the science that we're going to retrieve translated back into money. We're doing just fine. And where are we anyway? All right, we're up in the northern polar ocean. And we'll F5 for safety. It's going to be the end of a long mission for these crew members. Yeah, Jebediah, Marwig, and Robel. They earned their pay this mission. Landed on Vol, Bop, and Paul. So the next one, of course, is going to get pretty crazy. Alright, now, we're on the surface. Is it going to let me quick save down here? It's not. But sometimes on a mission like this, where I'm retrieving a ridiculous amount of science, and I've got one of those strategies going, I like to try and quick save before I recover it, just to make sure that, you know, nothing weird happens. Because, I mean, you know, as much as I love it, you know, I got to admit that KSP is sometimes not the most stable of game engines. You know, the Kraken does occasionally show up in weird spots. But we're sitting here on this loading screen for like 10 years as it's calculating all the world firsts we just did and everything else. We have rolled over the funding. Look at that. We're up to 11 million. So we're doing okay there. All right. Jeb got level 5. Robel got level 5. Not bad. And we got a whole bunch of stuff there. Cool. How are we doing for contracts? What? We did that. Oh, a probe. No, we orbited a probe at Dress, didn't we? Alright, let me just take a quick look around. Yeah, we're not going back to Bob. And literally here, I'm just looking to see if I can get, like, you know, some plant the flag contracts or something like that. That might be relevant for stuff we haven't done yet. Like, if I got a plant the flag contract here for Moho or something, I would probably take that. Yeah, nothing. Oh well, it never hurts to check. Oh, signs from space around Laythe. Alright, well, we were planning to do that. So I guess I'll grab that. But no flag planting. But it never hurts to have a quick look. Alright. So now we get to build our lander for Laythe. which is kind of an interesting sort of a mission. As I teased in one of the previous episodes, I'm going to show you some pretty epic cheese on this particular mission. Come on. All right. So we're going to start from scratch here. And I'm going to call this now, don't get the wrong idea. This capsule is not going on a one-way trip. It's not going to be like a weird two-way, ascent stage landing separately or anything weird like that. All right, let's get this stuff together. All right. Let's look for some. That'll do. That'll do. Let's see how the skipper looks. Yeah, it's not bad. Alright, so we're getting started. Now is where things get a little interesting. Just got to do some struts on here. Just give me a moment. The ever-important gaggle of struts all over the place. All right, now let's get some parachutes on that. Okay. And for good measure, do some more parachutes on there. Because we're going to be aerobraking into Laythe. Or not, I'm sorry, not aerobraking. We're going to be using parachutes, like when we land in the atmosphere. And there's a strong chance that solar panels are going to get ripped to shreds. So just for good measure, going to take a couple of RTGs. All right. So this is our Laythe lander. Are you ready for some cheese? Yup. We're going to land with a lander can on the bottom. And the idea is that after we are landed, we are going to transfer our crew member down to the lander can to get out and plant the flag and do surface stuff. Then, when it's time to go, we're going to re-enter the lander can, click on the hatch, transfer the crew member back up to the top. We're going to do it inside the rocket, rather than be screwing around with all kinds of, like ladders going all over the place and bending around everything. It is, in my opinion, a total cheese move. But it works really well, and I honestly don't know why I haven't seen people do that sort of thing more often in KSP. And that is, by the way, we're going to use the same cheese when we do our mission to Eve. To land on Eve. Okay. So yeah, that's our lander. And one thing, though, for good measure, I always put a heat shield on the bottom, not because it's needed, but because the heat shields are a little bit more damage resistant than the Mark 1 lander can is, just in case the landing comes in a little bumpy. So now, let's retract all this stuff. Now it's time for the heat shield. And I know that there are differing schools of thought on the heat shields. For a mission like this going to Laythe, some people prefer to use the big inflatable one. But really, it's not necessary. The 375 heat shield will work just fine for a rocket like this going to Laythe. Really, it'll be fine. Alright, so now I gotta get this mess over to Laythe. Man, I love this thing. I mean, it's such an elegant sort of a design. I just really, really like this lander. So now, let's that will be our descent stage. Yeah. That's correct. I'm just checking my staging. This will be our descent stage. And what ends up happening is that this descent stage is going to have more than enough delta V for like some of the orbital maneuvering and shenanigans that we're going to need to do once we are at Laythe. So that's decent. That works very well. Again, the only problem with all this stuff, it's going to be huge and wide, where, you know, this is going to necessitate a pretty serious booster and pretty serious nuclear stage. Whoop. And again, with the nuclear stuff, we are purely going for efficiency. Where is... Oh, it was on the wrong screen. Minor detail. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase our thrust a little bit by using... No, that's going to be... It's not going to produce enough delta V. I mean, as much as I hate to do it this way, this really will be the most efficient. All right. Doing all of our crazy asparagus stuff. And you know, I really have half a mind to put some nuclear engines down on the bottom of these radial tanks. But at the end of the day, I think I'll just do this. I mean, I'm looking at our delta V chart. We're getting a couple thousand out of that. I would prefer more, but well, actually, you know what? We can. I don't do this very often, but this mission is going to be real heavy. We can go double deep with the asparagus staging and put our engines onto these outer ones. Just to make our initial burns and stuff a little easier. So watch it. You'll see what I'm saying in a second here. All right, so there's all of our fuel flow. Let's get a couple of struts. Alright, so we got all kinds of struts and stuff. Now check this out. So at the start of the phase, we're going to be burning all 5 nuclear engines. And then after we dump these outer asparagus tanks, we're just going to be on that central stage. So that's going to give us a good balance between thrust and delta V, at least for a little while. Oh, whoops. Not the one I wanted. All right, and of course for this, we don't want a shroud. Yeah. I really don't want to go 5 meter. There might not be a whole lot of choice, though. Oh, just barely. Love to see it. Okay. This fairing is terrible and gross. But that should work. All right. Now let's get... And we're going to do something similar to what we did with the previous heavy lifter. But I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to beef it up just a little bit. Oh, whoops. It's not what I... Do they even have? Okay, yeah, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna have to... I might have to construct this off on the side. Because I'm going to use a big engine plate, and I'm going to do that big cluster. That big cluster of vector engines. And that doesn't matter. We can stick that, yeah, up wherever. Okay. So that'll be a significant amount of thrust coming out of that. Now, man, what a disaster this rocket is. But it's fine. It's fine. Well, we're gonna do a little bit of extra struts just for safety and good measure. Oh, it's gonna what a pain in the butt. All right, fine. Okay, now we are, of course, gonna have to do the Clydesdale thing. The question that's going to come in is whether or not we're doing 4 or 8. And I'm thinking, honestly, that I'm going to want to do 8. Because I would rather have too much thrust on takeoff than not enough with a mission like this. Oh, what a mess. All right, this is a chonky rocket. Big and heavy. Now, just got to do a little bit of extra strut work down here. Also going to stick on some aerodynamic fins. And a whole bunch of separatrons. And I'm also gonna stick a few going like this that I hope are just gonna sort of help push those out a little. Now, this is also a technique that I don't see very often, and it surprises me. You can actually gain a fair amount of stability by mounting your launch clamps onto the bottom of some of the SRBs and stuff. can't quite reach my core stage, and that bothers me a little because I'm putting a lot of faith in the strut work and everything on these Clydesdales. Alright, well, let's just see what happens, but we'll send a rookie, we'll send Summer, and we'll see if this actually gets off the ground. If this actually gets off the ground, I'm going to be happy. There is a chance that this is just going to explode the moment that it renders into physics. Come on. It's trying to load. All right. No spontaneous explosion. Kraken Insurance, let me check some staging. All right. Here goes everything. Oh, and it worked! Oh, yeah! Alright, I'm kind of excited about that. I was really nervous about using the 8 Clydesdales on this guy. But it worked. And we're stable-ish on the ascent. Only a small amount of wobble. Again, I'm not going to be too aggressive with the gravity turn here. Trying to be very, very conservative with this gravity turn. It's not the optimal ascent profile, but I'd rather have a slightly suboptimal ascent than have this start tumbling or flip over or start to drag behind the angle of attack. We're still doing relatively good. This works. I might actually reuse this for my T-Low lander. Alright, moment of truth. Alright. Look at all that. Yeah, you go back that way. Okay. Now we're going to crank up the throttle. See about getting this monstrosity into orbit. Yeah, you know, I could have almost gone with the 5-meter tank there. I think I will on the next one. and... Okay. Kraken Insurance. And look at that. We still have a little, couple of drops of Delta V left in our lower stage tank there. Not bad. This worked, and I'll take it. But with that, I am gonna call this an episode. I've been going for quite a while today, even though I think this particular episode is gonna cut and be a little shorter than some of the others. I've been at this for a while today, and frankly, I just need a break. So, as always, thanks for watching.